this is Nicole. Nicole, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and when you first heard those 3 words, congenital diaphragmatic hernia.
So my husband and I were together for, at the time, 8 years, and we were kind of high school sweethearts. I went to college, he went to tech school. We had a normal marriage, and that normal, we've learned nothing's really normal in life, but the standard, we got married, got engaged and then married. I had gotten a great job with our local county fair where I was involved in some youth organizations, and I kind of looked at him and I said, you know, I've always wanted to be a mom. Can we try? To be totally honest, we weren't sure we weren't going to have fertility issues. We have a family history with my mom and my one aunt with fertility issues, endometriosis through the family, quite a few members. So I was prepared for that. And I said, let's try, let's see what happens. We tried, and at 6 weeks pregnant, we found out it wasn't just one, it was 2. So we were at 6 weeks pregnant, we found out we were having fraternal twins. Everything looked great. We knew, though, due to some of my medical history, that we were going to be going to maternal fetal medicine. Due to my anemia, due to family history with some complicated pregnancies, MFM was going to be our home for sure. Then twins was a guaranteed MFM trip for us. We met with our great team there, had a great experience, and then had a few ultrasounds, just a couple from our local OBGYN and just one with MFM. The second ultrasound that we had at 14 and a half weeks with our MFM team, it's just taking a little longer, just kind of checking things out. At 10 weeks, we figured out our children were going to be very, very rambunctious. As you hear, they're very rambunctious now. So we thought they're just moving, you know, they're moving around the ultrasound way too much. She can't get a good image. She kept going back to his heart, kept going back and going back and going back. And I'm like, what's going on? And at the very end, she said, hey, doctor, it's going to come down. And I'm like, looking at my husband, and I know, and like, for some reason in the pit of my stomach, something's up. Didn't know why, just kind of was like, something's up. Even though he always comes down, something. He comes down and goes, everything looks great. Baby B looks awesome. He's super active, super kicker. Baby A, he's a puncher. He likes to punch his brother, which makes sense. Baby B sitting on baby A. It was a very positive conversation. And then he goes, but I want to show you something. And I was like, I know it. I knew there was something. He's like, do you see this right here beside the heart? And I was like, yeah. What is it? It's this big black blob, as I learned later, most CDH parents know the big black blob as the stomach was right up beside our heart. He's like, and you see this tiny line right here? I was like, yep, that's intestine. And he's like, and I'm not experienced more than that to tell you what's up there, but over here's your left lung, here's your right. And I was like, what is this? And he's like, it's congenital diaphragmatic hernia.
It's okay.
We've told this story, but I was that mom that knew twin pregnancy, this isn't going to be easy. This is going to be hard. Those words, and it's still to this day, he didn't say anything wrong to us. He never said anything wrong the whole process. But just when you hear those big 3 words together, it's like, this isn't just mild. And then the next words of, don't research this. until you've had time to just process. They gave us this big packet, this beautiful packet. And he said, I'm honestly telling you, do not open this for 48 hours. Not because I don't want you to be informed, not because I don't want you to know, but this is not news that any parent gets. Don't open this. Just don't. Just give yourself time to just process. And then he's like, you are stubborn, you are strong, and you are opinionated. He knew that already. He'd only known me for a few weeks, but he knew that already. And he said to me, he said, you can do this. You can do this. I am grateful every single day for how he took the next 20 seconds, how he approached the next 20 seconds after that. He stayed adamant every single week with us and made sure that the hospital that ended up treating us was very adamant with it. The slight, subtle hint that he legally has to ask us is, would you like to terminate baby A? I looked at him before he even got the sentence out, and I was like, no, no. I know what you're gonna ask. Don't, just stop. That's not an option for us. My husband and I had talked very early in our pregnancy when we found out it was twins, and I had flat out told him, I said, no matter what, unless it is a true, utter medical necessity and danger to my health and danger to their health, these are our babies. Doesn't matter what they're born with. Doesn't matter what happens, they're ours. So that was our standpoint. And our doctor, our MFM doctor, took it so seriously that he jumped immediately on supportive board. The next question that came out of my mouth, I said, we're from York County, Pennsylvania. Most people know that we are about an hour from Hershey, Pennsylvania. And most people that grow up in this area, there's 3 hospitals for kids. There's Hershey, there's Penn State Hershey, great facility, wonderful facility, wonderful facility. Then there's the University Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, great facility, awesome facility, about 4 hours from us, Hershey's an hour. Then there's the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They're about 3 hours from us. Right now, due to COVID, they're only about 2, which is really nice. I said, hey, so we're going to Hershey, right? Like, this is a Hershey thing. He looked at me and he said, no. Again, all 3 amazing facilities. But again, when you grow up in this area, being told that you have to go to the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh or the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, something about it just says it's serious. This is not good. Penn State, again, Hershey is wonderful. They're great. They're great at what they do. They're amazing. But just something in my gut when he said, you're going to CHOP, was like, this isn't good. This is not good. This is whatever. You just told me not to research it, and I want to research it now because I know this isn't good. We took about 72 hours, and we still both went to work, but I will say those first 72 hours were a lot of tears, a lot of blaming, and not him blaming me, not me blaming him, but did I do something wrong? Did I not take care of myself? Did I stretch weird? Everything. And we didn't, other than my mom who had gone to the procedure, nobody knew. We didn't tell anybody. I told my boss that we will be going to a special hospital. Don't ask me why. Don't ask. Just don't. I can't tell you. And not because illegally I can't or anything like that. And he knew in that moment it was a mental, and he looked at me, again, I'd only been there 3 months when I told him I was pregnant, or 2 months when I told him I was pregnant with twins. I'd been there 3 months when I told him we'd be going to a special hospital. He looked at me and said, we got you. Whatever it is, we're family. This is a family here. You do what's best for you and your babies. We slowly, over the next 2 weeks, told maybe 4 people, other than my mom, my mom's husband, my best friend, my one aunt, and his best friend. That was it. Actually, it was 3 people. We told 4 people, including my mom's husband. That was it. I wanted more information because that 72 hours hit, the slight grieving process got over with, and I dug. And Google is the worst possible friend and the best possible friend of any parent that just got a diagnosis like we did. Thankfully, I looked for, the big hospitals that do CDH, and I found out that CHOP does specialize in CDH, and they're close to us. It's not anything against any other hospital, but when a hospital that does do CDH day in and day out is 3 hours from your house, and this is through a maternal fetal medicine doctor that treated my mom, treated 4, 5, 6 family members of mine, is also a doctor that's been in our area for 45 years. I trusted that he sent us to CHOP, and we did do a little more research, but I said, nope, this is home. And at that point, I stopped researching. I only looked at CHOP stuff because I committed myself to, we are being treated by CHOP, and we're going to trust CHOP. And I did that more so from the same standpoint that I accepted at week 6 when we found out we were having twins with the high risk, that we have to have faith in the doctors treating us. We have to have confidence that we're doing the right thing for ourselves. And that's just where we went. I developed high blood pressure in that 2 weeks post finding out CDH. And when I say high blood pressure, we were very high. I was put on a more strict regimen diet. We started doing weekly ultrasounds. We started doing very intense ultrasounds. We had our normal 18-week scan. It's normally the 20. We were able to do our anatomy scan at 18 weeks just the way it fell. We found out we were blessed with 2 fraternal boys, and we grieved for another 2 days. So I'm blessed. I have beautiful boys. Mama wanted a girl. I have twins. Mama was holding out for a girl. And also I'd done the research, and I knew that we were probably going to deliver early. I knew that boys' lungs developed later. My little brother was born early. His lungs didn't develop. He's fine now. He's healthy. But I know boys' lungs don't typically develop till later. Now you're telling me I have a son who is going to be born with small lungs because of his birth defect, probably going to be born early. It was a little hard for us because, I don't know, for some silly reason, and I know it's a silly reason, and I've accepted it now, in my mind, a girl meant a better chance. Don't know why, just did it. So I grieved again for about 3 days. Plus I grieved the fact that I had hoped for a daughter. And we had our gender reveal for our family. My entire family thought it had to be at least one girl because everybody knew I wanted a girl. They all looked at me and were like, holy mackerel, how did you keep this secret from us for almost a week? And we're like, Travis is like, my husband Travis is like, no wonder she didn't call any of you because she can't keep a secret like that. We made it through, I worked for a fair, we made it through fair for me, and at 23 weeks and 1 day, we met with our CHOP team. We went down for our echo, our MRI, our ultrasound, the whole process, met with our genetic counselor, met with our fetal case manager, everybody. It was a long day. It's a scary day. They prepared it for us. I've come to learn that that's a very normal day. As one of my boys, my rambunctious boys, is hitting his head. This is my Noah. So they sat with us and they said, can you say hi? They sat and said at the end of the day, your son does have CDH. Baby A is CDH. He has what we're going to consider moderate to severe CDH. We were told at that point, from what they could see on the ultrasound, the MRI, everything, that we had stomach, spleen, the entire bowel, like everything that could possibly reach was up there. And the right, like the right, at that point, they thought it was just the right tip of the liver. So they said, this is what it is. We're not going to give you percentages. We're not going to tell you likelihood. We're not going to tell you. We don't do that. Not faulting any hospital that does. It was just kind of where they told us, they said, we got you. And they walked us through the process. Again, I was told that due to having twins, I was probably not going to have a natural labor because I would probably have to C-section. One of the hardest days in our entire pregnancy, other than being told those three little words, three big words, was by our son's surgeon. You are not delivering, actually. You are having a C-section. There's no question. And I looked at her and I'm like, but why? Like, this is my last thing. This is the last thing that I can try as a mom to do until these boys come out of me, other than just protect them and me. She looked at me and the diagnosis got realer, because she said very bluntly, and I love this, I love our surgeon. I didn't like her in this next sentence. Your son does not have full-size lungs. He is going to be born with small lungs. You are asking him to be pushed out a tiny hole, compressing his chest. His chances of breathing better coming out just went down because you pushed him out. My husband looked at me, he goes, you're having a C-section. And my husband is the type of guy that says, it's your body. You want an epidural, you don't want an epidural, you want to do this natural, you want to do it. However, your decision. He looked at me and said, you're having a C-section. And I said, I'm having a C-section. I cried the entire 2 hours home. 2 hours. The entire. As many moms know. That's the one thing we get to do. That's the one thing we get to do when we're pregnant. It was hard. It was very hard. 2 hours, a little more research from the CHOP page, some of the articles our surgeon had written. I was on team C-section. I was good. I'm on team C-section. What do I have to do? What do I have to do? Hi, honey. Thank you. What do I have to do now to get to full term? And they're like, 39 weeks. We want you to get to 39 weeks. And I'm like, isn't 36, 37 normal for twins? Yeah, we're wanting 39 because you're going to be on bed rest 35 weeks and on. So everything was going normally. We were doing our normal follow-up appointments for just about 2 months from the first time we met CHOP. November 11th, and this sticks out in my mind because it was Veterans Day, and we went to a regular OBGYN appointment just to check up, make sure heart measured me. I was measuring at 42 weeks at like 26 weeks pregnant. I was measuring already at like 40 weeks pregnant, something like that. Huge. I was ginormous. I am in an industry where we're on our feet a lot. I'm in the ag industry. We're on our feet a lot. It's summer. I'm already a hot person. I already swell in the summer. And the doctor's like, hey, have your feet been swollen that long? And I'm like, I'm on my feet 14 hours a day. I'm coming into my slow season, so I'll be a little slower. But yeah, it's summertime. It's hot. Of course my feet are swollen. Okay, all right. Got home, driving home that night, and baby A, our little CDHer, flips. And I mean, I see feet, I see butt, I see everything rolling. I am having contractions within 20 minutes. Not close enough we ran to the hospital, but enough that by the next morning, as I'm sitting in a meeting, everybody at the entire table is counting my contraction time. They're like, you're going to the hospital. I had 10 grown dogs that I barely know, apart from a couple of them was saying, we're driving you to the hospital. Done. You're going. And by that point also, we had told most of our family and friends as well. We had gotten to that point. So they knew. Everybody maybe didn't know how serious CDH was, but they knew at least that he was having complications. So they knew my risk of pregnancy was high. I get to my local OBGYN, to my local hospital, and they admit me. Can't figure out why. We go through the standard lab tests, and they come back and go, hey, we're going to keep you overnight just because you have to deliver at CHOP. We don't want you going home, coming back, and XYZ. And about an hour later, they come into the room and say, you have preeclampsia. And I'm like, are you sure I have preeclampsia? You guys have been monitoring me. I've been getting weekly, if not every other week, lab tests. Your protein is through the roof. I said, okay, no big deal. I can ride this out for another 12 weeks, whatever it was. I can ride it out. No problem. They're like, you're not going to ride this out. And I'm like, how early are we talking? My husband's like, he's over there in La La Land, like thinking this is not a big deal. It's just preeclampsia. It's another big word. All the doctors are throwing at us. I knew what it was. I'm like, how long? How long do I have? And they're like, max, if you cut all salt right now, you do no salt, you bed rest immediately. You're drinking at least 10 to 12 cups of water a day. You're flushing fluids, everything. 6 weeks. We were 28 weeks pregnant. Just kind of like 6 to 8 weeks is kind of what they gave me. It just broke my heart. So my boss and our entire board at where I work were like, you're going home. You're sitting on your butt. You're not working. You're not doing anything. My husband bought me this ginormous cup. He marked all of my hours for my water. And he's like, you're drinking water. He took all the salt out of our house. All the salt was gone. We counted my little, all my vitamins out. He's like, if any of them are missing, we're going to have a conversation. He went into full dad mode. We had weekly appointments. At that point, we finally realized why everybody was noticing my swelling. I was big. I was swollen. I normally get migraines. Now they tell me that those are not actual migraines I'm getting. They're blood pressure headaches. This preeclampsia is getting bad, and it's getting bad fast. Within November 11th was that OBGYN appointment. November 12th was the day that we were told preeclampsia. So November 24th, I had taken another sample in for him to check my protein again. They're like, get back in here now. You went from 1,800 2 weeks ago to 6,000 protein. Get your butt in here. You are on bed rest, officially on bed rest. Get in there. My blood pressure is great. My labs are looking great. Everything looks great. Babies are doing awesome. The doctor looks at me and goes, they were a little dramatic. It is high, but we need you to move. I talked to your, we all agree. You need to move to Philly next week. Next week, you need to move to Philly. Monday, you better be in Philly. The Monday after Thanksgiving, you better be in Philly. We were shocked. We sat there. My husband got ready to go home to our sweet dogs. He's like, I'm going to go home. I still want to try and go to work tomorrow, especially if we're going to Philly. He brought me dinner. And I kid not, 20 minutes post dinner, the nurse came in to start my IV. I looked up at her and I said, you need to check my blood pressure now. And she just looked at me, and my husband said, get it on her. If she's like, he knew my tone, get it on her. The first reading came up of 160 over 100. Second reading came up as 170 over 120. They wouldn't tell me the numbers after that. It was cycling every 4 seconds. We had the anesthesia team in a matter of 5 minutes in our room. We had the neonatologist from the head of the NICU of the hospital we were in our room. We had our doctor back in the room. There's these awesome, cool things they put on beds that fit over the bed rails. They look like awesome pads. Yeah, they're not awesome. They're seizure preventing pads. They're strapping me down. They have magnesium running at such a high rate. They're starting to drop the air conditioning for me because they see me physically sweating. The final rate my husband will tell me that he saw after he stopped looking was 240 over 160. They basically told us you were about 5 minutes, if not less, away from going into a full seizure, full on eclampsia, like no question. We were getting ready to roll, like anesthesia, they were lining ready for me to roll. We had doctors calling. All I remember is them saying helicopter, NICU, like all these terms that you are the worst case scenario. And I'm like, afterwards I said to him, I said, what was the helicopter for? Y'all weren't gonna transport me in a seizure mode. They were preparing the helicopter for baby A because they didn't want baby A. The NICU is calling. The head of the head neonatologist there is saying, we don't want her. Like, get her out of our hospital. We don't want this baby. Like, they were cool with baby A. They were terrified of baby A. They were good with baby B. Baby A scared them. So he was getting the helicopter. Post coming down, as I was coming out of it, they saved me. We were good. They brought me out of it. They told the helicopter to stand by. And I'm like, what's the helicopter on standby? I'm fine. You brought me out of it. You're probably going on that helicopter to CHOP right now. So the doctor realized my husband was probably going to pass out on that helicopter ride because he will not slide. I told him they better sedate him because he is getting on the helicopter with me if I have to go via helicopter. The nurse was ready to strap him down. Thank gosh my blood pressure came down and my husband did not have to go on the helicopter with me. We were transported emergency via ambulance to the hospital, the University of Pennsylvania, where we were immediately swarmed with all these doctors. Don't remember a single one of them because I'm still in a preeclamptic headache, full-blown blood pressure. It was normal and stable for a preeclamptic person, so still 160/100. I laugh about it now because I can. It took a bit. They came in, everybody came in. And finally, all of them were like, if you don't get this headache gone, your babies are coming today. I looked at the nurse and I said, what can we do? Me and you, what can we do? I'm not having these babies today. Like, I can't clamp my legs shut. They're coming out via C-section. I know it. So it's not even like I can try and squeeze them back in. So what can I do? She's like, I'm going to get you all the headache medication I'm legally allowed to give you at once. I'm turning this air conditioning down to 60. I'm asking the doc to turn up your magnesium. And basically, I'm going to strip your clothes as much as I can with keeping you, decent and covered. And I'm going to turn the air conditioning down. And I'm going to make you as comfortable as I can. And I'm going to bar that door if I have to stand in front of it so you get some sleep. Because at this point also, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. We haven't slept in over 24 hours. I'm exhausted. I'm preeclamptic. So she does this. And only one doctor sneaks in before she barred the door after she gave me my medicine. So I'm drifting in and out, trying to the medicine she gave me to put me asleep. It's this awesome neonatologist. And I don't know if any other CDH moms has ever had this experience. This was the neonatologist that was coming to ask, do you want to sign a DNR? And I'm like, I'm going to come out of this. I don't need to sign a DNR. No, it was a DNR for our little tiny sweet baby that was still in my tummy. And he says, we're going to do everything possible, but you have the right, if we cannot, in those first few minutes resuscitate him, you have the right to no extraordinary circumstances. I was shocked. Here I am, almost asleep, and this is the words that come out of this man's mouth. And I'm like, I have to decide right now if you want a DNR for my little baby that's not even born. I will admit, I don't remember this gentleman's name. I don't remember this neonatologist's name. He's a wonderful guy. I've met his wife, who's also a neonatologist. Wonderful man. He's my least favorite person in the entire world. And I told his wife that months later, and she's like, I'm so sorry. I knew you probably were going to say that about him. She's like, that's a moment that no doctor ever wants to have to do. No doctor ever wants to do that. We told him we did want extraordinary circumstances, save our baby. We did all the paperwork. I fell asleep. That nurse was my saving grace because she got me the time of almost 3 hours of uninterrupted 60-degree sleep. I was in heaven. I was so rested. I felt great. Woke up, my headache was gone. And they said, okay, great, you're not having these babies today, but you are not leaving this hospital. You are on official hospital bed rest with limited diet, limited movement. You know, this is your home for the next couple weeks. At the time, nobody informed me that they all had mentally set a clock that I was not going to make it 24 hours without delivering these babies. I found this out a week later, and they all set this mental clock, and it actually turned into a 24-hour clock, 48-hour clock, 72-hour clock. And once I hit that 72 hours post me arriving at that hospital, they all said, okay, she's going to do it. She's going to make it a whole week and not have these babies. The doctors later told me that they feel the reason I made it as long as I did post that event was my stubbornness. And I was keeping those babies in. And then they met our kids later, and they're like, oh yeah, they're stubborn like their mama. I made it to December 5th, 2019. And they walked in to my room and said, your protein, your labs came back. We have to take the boys. This is at a point, it is no longer safe for you. There's high repercussions if we don't take these boys due to your preeclampsia. So I said, okay, I made it like a week and 2 days past arriving at Hub. Called my husband, he got there. Everybody was so excited because I made my little family on the floor that I was on. I was the only pregnant bed rest patient on that floor. So everybody was super excited to meet our boys, but sad because it meant our boys were going to be born at 32 weeks and 4 days. So it was scary because we had already been told that I could not go into labor in the middle of the night because it would take 30 some people to deliver our boys, 15 alone for Ryan. You know, Noah being born at that age still would need a whole team from the NICU as well. And then a team for me because of how severe my preeclampsia was. So we had the boys at 1:33 and 1:34 p.m. I did not get to see them, unfortunately. They had post taking me to the delivery room. They had ultrasound. They found Ryan. Ryan had done one last stunt and had moved from my lower right abdomen down by my cervix. He had moved all the way up to his brother's spot on the top left of my abdomen. They did a switch. Doctors say it was Ryan's last hoorah before he went through everything he went through. So they reached around little Noah and they pulled Ryan out first. And they had told us, you're probably not, we probably can't show you Ryan. He needs to go from you. He needs to get intubated. He needs to get, we need to confirm. And I said, take care of my baby. In 48 hours, I want to hold my baby. Or I want to see my baby. You better, doesn't matter. Just take him, save my baby. Noah, they had told us there was a good chance we would be able to see Noah. However, Noah came out just not a great look that they were hoping for, especially since he had been our normal baby the entire pregnancy and healthy. He just didn't look great. So they took him immediately as well. They prepared to intubate him, and within that 30 seconds, he came alive and he was kicking and good and happy. They did immediately intubate those he's a 32-week twin born on a mom that had preeclampsia. They just wanted to make sure that we were good. They intubated him. I don't even think that Ryan was stabilized. My husband wasn't able to go in and see Ryan. Noah was already up. They intubated him. He was good. He was stabilized so fast. They took him upstairs. My husband didn't even get to see him in the delivery room. Travis went in, got pictures of Ryan. Smart man. Did not show them to me while I was still in the delivery room. And they got me all situated. And they took me to my room. We had everybody coming in, and about 2 hours, I would say, post-delivery, I sent my husband, I said, go see our boys. Take the pictures. I need the pictures. I can't get out of this bed for at least another 24 hours because I'm on magnesium. So I can't move. I can't go anywhere because obviously Ryan's in a completely different hospital. Hup and Chop are right beside each other. There's a tunnel they take these kids under. It's awesome. I ended up getting going in the tunnel 2 days later. I got to go through the tunnel. And Noah, just because of the NICU at Hub, I wasn't able, my bed didn't fit up beside Noah's spot. It just didn't fit. And I had to stay in a bed because of the magnesium and all of the stuff I was hooked up to. So everybody came in. My husband went over, saw Ryan. And my husband didn't cry. He cried with me the first 3 days after the diagnosis and, car side after we found out. He stayed strong. He was my rock. And my husband doesn't cry. And he's probably going to really, really not, like I admitted this to everybody, he does not cry. He cried when the doctor came in for the neonatologist. We both thought, of course, anybody that has to sign those paperwork, you're going to cry. He comes back in. I can't feel my legs yet because, C-section, I'm still numb. Can't move. They already told me don't even try and get out of bed. He almost loses it the minute he walks through my room, my recovery room, when he came back from seeing Ryan. Heartbreaking, because I couldn't do anything. He got to me, and we had a wonderful nurse who came in the room, and she just ignored us, like in a good way. She just ignored us. She let us have our moment. And then gently, as we kind of calmed down, she said, did you see baby A? And I said, yeah, I saw baby A. Or he went and saw baby A. And she said, I heard from the nurses that took him, he is a fighter. And I was like, okay, great. So that night, really, I was still in and out of it. The magnesium was hard on me. I was trying to pump for my sweet babies. It was hard. Travis went, got our stuff, and kind of hunkered into our room. And the next morning, first right off the bat, I'm like, when am I getting this mag? I want off mag. I want to go see my babies. And they're like, woman, you just had severe preeclampsia. Hold your horses. Even if this mag comes out right this second, you are not going to CHOP. We're not allowing you to go, across the whole to a different hospital. No, not happening. I think they were scared in that moment of me because I was ready to come out of that bed. I came off magnesium almost 30 hours. I was on magnesium for almost 30 hours. It was rough. It took a lot out of me. I got up, I got ready, I got dressed, and I'm like, I'm at least going to see my baby B, who we had officially by that point thankfully named, because we did not have a name for little Noah until the day of his birth. We had his middle name. And that was also the point where we kind of finally told the immediate family. We told them, of course, the day the boys were born, hey, the boys are out. Here's 2 pictures. That's all we sent anybody. We didn't tell anybody. We didn't call anybody. We ignored the calls because one, I was not in anybody that's ever had magnesium, you're not physically, you should not talk to anybody because you don't make sense. I was very delirious. So my husband also didn't want to tell anybody because that was my gig. So we officially told everybody that our beautiful boys born on December 5th at 1:33 and 1:34, Mr. Ryan Arthur Groff and Noah Daniel Groff. This is what we found out from our nurses because we couldn't understand at first what the big deal was. And then I was officially post the magnesium, I was told what my boys weighed. I was told, obviously, when I was on magnesium, but they didn't tell me. They told me again afterwards. My boys at 32 4 weeks came out at 3 pounds 15 ounces and 3 pounds 15.5. My doctors officially told me that if my boys would have gone full term, they both would have probably been 8-pound babies. Small blessing of going at 32 weeks. I only had 4-pound babies and not 16 pounds worth of baby in me because I was big. Small blessings. That's our small blessing. Everybody was shocked our boys were that big, because at 32 weeks with Ryan's condition, they were expecting 3 pounds, maybe up in the upper end of 2. And ECMO, because of the projected size, ECMO wasn't even a question. They weren't even going to be able to do it. So 3 pounds, 15.5, we were in the realm of, if we needed it, it was an option. And I couldn't have been more grateful. And it's funny because who wants to be grateful that your child qualifies for ECMO? Like, ECMO is not something you want. It's the saving grace for our babies. But I was grateful. I was like, yes, we can go on ECMO if we need to. I was like, it's a crazy, now looking back, I'm like, how was that my mindset? How was that my mindset? But it was, because I knew that if nothing else failed, ECMO, I've seen it time and time again now, especially ECMO, it saves a lot of our babies.
Nicole,
Yeah, go ahead.
you're doing great, and you're a really good storyteller. I love it.
Well, I'm almost wrapping up, so I didn't know if that was what you were gonna say. Oh.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sorry. You have to fit all the families in there. And,
Yeah.
I don't want you to forget, anything big.
Well, and that's, the birth was the biggest part. So yeah, I was short after this, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I hate
Oh,
rushing you.
no.
You're doing great. I just want to fit everybody in.
No, you're good. And you guys can edit it too. Like, totally edit whatever you need to. But yeah, so I got to see baby B, no problem. He was good. I got to see baby A 72 hours later, Ryan, and the 3.5 weeks till surgery was long. He needed resuscitated. I don't know how many times. I stopped asking how many times he needed resuscitated because didn't need to know. At 4 weeks old, 3 septic workups, countless of recitations, one attempted extubation by himself. He was repaired. He was repaired at 4 weeks old. Spleen, stomach, intestines, right lobe of the liver, all up there. Left lung, not the size they were anticipating, smaller. Really not good. They told us this is gonna be, he's repaired. This will be touch and go still. We did not get to hold him still for another 2 weeks. I didn't get to hold him because he was still intubated. He was feisty, blood pressure, everything. The minute you touched him, up through the roof. They didn't have us touch him. So 45 days extubated. 50 days roughly, I don't remember the exact day, he got to meet his twin for the first time. And we got to have them together for the first time. Because Noah was in the NICU. And 8 weeks, we went to high flow oxygen. 12 weeks, we finally got to nasal cannulas. March 18th of 2020, we had our G-tube fundoplication surgery because oral aversion, really bad. And as well, he severe reflux, one of the worst cases they had seen in years. So that was done. They told us hopefully a month. He was 3.5 months old. He came home after having a modified GJ inserted, because he was so tiny still. He came home on May 18th, 2020 with a modified GJ, 2 reflux medications, and a 1/4 liter of oxygen. This is the baby that later we found out if they would have had to put a number, less than 10% chance. So far, we've had 5 inpatient stays, for 3 of them being emergencies, 2 respiratory issues, an asthma attack, and a GI issue. 2 GJs came out inpatient because we were bad timing. The boys are going to be 16 months old on April 5th, 2021. They are amazing. Noah, I mean, he's the twin, but he was a preemie. He is on full solids. He's drinking out of a cup. He's been walking for nearly 3 months now, to my delight and stress. And he's great. he's great. He has some follow-up care he needs. Ryan has been a trooper up until 14 and a half months. He's been flourishing. He started rolling in the fall. He started doing great. Let me grab him because he's crawling and walking everywhere now. Hi, dude. Can you say hi? This is our Ryan. This is our CDHer. He is walking. He's on G-tube feeds. He is starting to take oral stuff. Finally, he likes to eat his blueberries, and he kind of got a gobsmack 2 weeks ago of he has a cough and nobody knows why. So we're back into the world of CDH of nobody can tell you sometimes why your kids do what they do. And we're looking forward to a procedure here in April of 4 different specialties coming in. They're going to put them under and do some oscopies, you know, bronchoscopy, marlaryngoscopy, I think it is, all those oscopies, and check his reflux. And hopefully we will find an answer. Hopefully they will tell us he does not need a GJ. Hopefully they will tell us that he can not continue oral feeds, because this kid walks. This does not look like a kid when you were told the diagnosis. This is not what I imagined my kid would look like at 16 months. This is not what this isn't what I thought at 5.5 months when we brought him home. I didn't think he'd be here. He couldn't hold his head up. He couldn't smile. He wouldn't laugh. He laughs, he smiles, he obviously likes to smack his lips, and he loves to wave, he loves to clap. So it's one of those times that we definitely say there's hope. There's always hope for these babies. But at the same time, it's the big quotation we all use. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And he just decided to remind us in this last month that, hey, Mom, I'm doing great, but I still got to fight. And we're going to fight it with him. Absolutely. At this point, they have told us we're for sure kind of out of the worst of the woods. We made it through the first year, and we're out of the worst of the woods. So he's just going to be a normal toddler and just figure out his reflux issues, hopefully, is what the future holds for us. Yes. Can you say hi?
Hi.
But
Hey, Ryan.
that's our CDHer story, because it kind of got boring. Like after the delivery, it kind of got boring for us.
No, it didn't. But he looks amazing, and Noah looks amazing too. They're just beautiful, incredible little miracles. And
yeah, this one, and we say they're fraternal twins. Everyone's like, they don't look alike. We're like, they're fraternal. This one's mine. He looks spitting image like me as a baby, other than the dude has way more hair than I did. And Noah is daddy. I cannot claim a single thing about that child. He doesn't look anything like me. But they're mama's boys, and we love them. And it's not a world that we ever thought we'd be in. And no parent, obviously none of us want to be in this world. But it's definitely, we're blessed with getting to know the other CDH families, the amazing organization of CDH International, and just knowing their support and their hope.
you have
He's a prime example.
CHOP is a great place. I mean, they're wonderful.
And nothing again.
Myself, and it's just the facilities are incredible.
Yeah, it's an amazing, and there's not. Again, even that one doctor that like I never want to see again in my life, and I don't like, he's not a bad person. He's a wonderful person. He did the best he could in that situation for us. And he knows it too. Like his wife told him what I feel, and he gets it. Like that's the thing, like they know this is horrible. And we have NICU nurses that we still are in contact with, of course. And I'm sure it's this way with everywhere, but they're just so supportive. It's been an amazing experience for us. Been amazing. It's been a very rewarding experience, because we get to be parents now of a CDHer. We get to tell the world what CDH is, and our families they're so open to telling everybody. They're like, hey, we want CDH apparel. And I'm like, okay, why? And they're like, because we want to tell people. And I'm like, that's awesome. It's awesome because I think it's 1 in 2,500 are, born with CDH. Same statistic with cystic fibrosis, but everybody's heard about cystic fibrosis.
Yeah,
not everybody's heard about CDH. So that's hard.
Well, thank your family for us.
Yes.
For raising awareness.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your story. And boys, thank you for making an appearance and saying hi.
Yes. Yeah, no problem for sure. Can you say hi? As you can tell, Noah's he's our cameraman, and Ryan's a typical toddler as he's doing the nose thing. Boys, right?
That's okay. We like typical. Yeah. Typical's great.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we are so excited to keep sharing the hope that there is hope. So, yeah.